The eastern part of the country Benghazi has generally been a bastion of opposition to Gaddafi, and he generally hasn't been able to bring them into the fold. The West, on the other hand, is a different story, and so if the West is starting to fall, as I said earlier, we're really seeing the last days of this regime, and you know, there are protests in his hometown and Tripoli, and so this is really significant. And I was listening to your broadcast before you put me on the air, and I was, you know, smiling when I heard you said that the western part of the country is, you know, there are reports that there's some liberated towns. So.
All right, Dr. Sami Hidmaz there talking to us from London. Thank you. Well, as the violent crackdown continues in Libya, many thousands, in fact, are injured and are making their way to the border with Egypt, hoping to claim asylum. But for those who've already made it there, it's been bad news. So far, Egypt has only let a handful of Libyans into the country. Jamal Al-Shayal reports from Saloum, that's on the Egypt-Libya border.
Thousands have come through this crossing, fleeing the violence racking Libya. They've taken as much as they can carry: televisions, refrigerators and washing machines. They don't know when it will be safe for them to return. They also brought with them horrific tales of mercenaries, airstrikes and bloodshed.
We do not know where they're coming from. They're not Libyans. They're African mercenaries. They're shooting people randomly. These people are trying to protect themselves from these mercenaries in places like Tobruk, Benghazi, Al-Baida and Drana.
Mobile hospitals have been set up to help those injured in the violence. Ambulances wait to take people for treatment, although facilities here are basic at best. So far, only Egyptians have been let through and a handful of Libyans. Reports are thousands remain injured on the other side of the border. Volunteers and charities have organized several convoys. Some have already made it into Libya, bringing much-needed medical equipment. There is also a severe shortage of blood, so they're carrying thousands of liters with them too.
The administration of the medical affairs in Matruh supported us with a crew of physicians. We prepared the intensive care unit for any emergencies coming from Libya. The unit is ready for anything, even for open-heart surgery, and the army has prepared a hospital near the port.
Both those going in and coming out are calling for help from the international community. Many feel that the plight of the Libyan people is being deliberately ignored and want to see concrete action on the ground to bring an end to the bloodshed. Jamal Al-Shayal, AlJazeera, Saloum on the Egypt-Libya border.
We can now find out what's happening on the web and cross over to Dan Nolan. Dan.
Well, Dareen, we've been monitoring social media all through this story, but we've also had some new video come to light that was actually filmed by a Libyan person who's fled across the border to Egypt on his mobile phone. Now, the video, it can't be verified, as much of the images that are emerging from Libya that are being posted onto YouTube, etc. But it appears to show at least 22 dead bodies, all of them with their hands tied behind their back, and most of them appearing to have been shot with a bullet through the head. Now, a lot of the victims are also wearing soldiers' uniforms, and there has been a suggestion that these were Libyan soldiers who refused orders to actually attack and kill protesters, and as a result that they were also executed themselves. Now, as I said, we can't be 100% sure about this story and what it shows. It is incredibly graphic video, and it may well indeed turn out to be something that is going to be one of the many list of crimes that's going to be investigated well after this is all over. Back to you, Doreen.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for bringing us that update on what's happening on the web in terms of Libya. Well, let's just bring you some other news now. And a year after entering the Swat Valley, Pakistan's army has begun to scale down its operations in the region. The big challenge now is how to reintegrate some of the men who were once considered the enemy. Kamal Haidar reports.
For the first time since the army started its de-radicalization program, we're allowed to visit one of the detention centers. To an outsider, this may look like a lecture room at a college or university. But this is the Mishal or Beacon program, helping detainees to reintegrate into mainstream society. Not long ago, these men had taken up arms against the military, but now under watchful eyes, they were being retrained in a relatively free environment. Each detainee is carefully screened before being selected for vocational training. We talked to one of the psychiatrists to find out what he feels may make the difference.
I see them very energetic and very active in the participation. And on account of rehabilitation and account of repeated assessments, I found out that they have very high motivation to go back into the society and become a more useful part than they used to be.
The Swati Taliban were able to recruit people who came from poor sections of society, unskilled laborers and farmers. The military therefore thought that in order to de-radicalize them, they must be given vocational training so they can become useful members of their society. Talking to some of the detainees in a casual and open environment, we asked what they feel about the program.
It's a very useful training program for us by the military, which have put us into a right direction. And after completion of courses, we would be able to serve into the society and spend a better life.
Some of the skills they acquire here may help them find suitable employment when they're released. From computers, carpentry, welding to motor mechanics. After visiting Mishal, we head into Khwaza Khela to meet Javed Khan, a former detainee now trained as a welder. He helps his nephews run a car yard. Javed's is a success story, and while there are signs of cautious optimism, back at Mishal, the real test will come when the other former detainees are freed back into society. Kamal Haider, AlJazeera, Swat.
World tennis #1 Caroline Wozniacki is safely through to round 3 in Qatar, but find out which 3 top seeds tumbled out in the second round in Doha. And Pakistan's captain puts on a 5-star performance in his side's first World Cup match. That's also coming up. Stay with us.
As the dry condition extends over Amritsar, we'll find the right flavor to tempt your palate.
Welcome back to your international weather forecast. Well, across the United States over the next couple of days, we're going to see a combination of weather. First, in the southeastern part of the United States, we could see some severe weather. Take a look at the forecast map. We have a cold front pushing down from the north, and this is going to be bringing some heavy rain showers, thunderstorms, the possibility of hail, as well as tornadic activity, possibly from Thursday night as we go into Friday. Then over towards the west, a lot of snow in the forecast. Look at this. Snow from California, Utah, as well as Colorado, even some heavy rain showers down to parts of Los Angeles over the next couple of days. As we make our way a little further to the south in parts of the Caribbean as well as Central America, we're going to be seeing some very heavy rain showers along that eastern coastline.